Guys, what's up? Hey, I haven't posted in a while. I wanted to help you guys out for the spring. I want you to ask yourself a couple questions. First of all, should you focus on growth this year or should you focus on profitability? Knowing your numbers, being more efficient, being your systems and processes, are they in place? I think you should focus on both, but I'm going to go to the drawing board. I'm going to go to the dry erase board. I'm going to draw out a couple things I want to talk to you guys about. First of all, should you grow or should you focus on profitability? And second of all, how to become more profitable. What's a couple ways, a couple helps. I appreciate you guys. You guys have commented. You guys have inspired me to do more on YouTube. It takes a little bit more time than TikTok, but I appreciate it. Let's go. Should you focus on growth or should you focus on profitability? I think you should do a little bit of both, right? You should always be growing, but then you should always be focused on your numbers, focused on what's more profitable, focus on your systems and processes, okay? Now, before we get started, I want you to understand, look, what we did is we did pumpkin plan and we did profits first. I believe with all my heart, if you can read those books and understand the concept of those books, it could really help you out. I told you before, we went from doing 600,000 and not profiting that much. We dropped it down to 400,000, not on purpose, not that we just went down to go down. We just went down because we got rid of all the unprofitable things. Yeah, we did less gross, but we profited twice as much. We profited like 80,000 instead of 40,000. And we did less work. So this is why I'm so adamant about it. Pumpkin plan and profits first. You got to get rid of the bottom 20% of your clients that are sucking all the energy, that are all the only thing that they're doing is draining your time. And focus on the top 20%. Get rid of those, okay? Read the book Pumpkin Plan and Profits First. Here's an example. Company A and Company B, both of them do 200,000 in 2020. 200,000 in growth, 10% profit margin, 10% profit margin, 20,000 and 20,000. The next year though, this guy, he decides he is going to focus on growth. He's not really going to focus on his inefficiencies in his business. But he's going to grow. So he's going to pass out flyers. He's going to do 300,000. He grows 100,000. That's pretty good. So his profit is 30K, right? So he profits more, $10,000 more after everybody gets paid, but he went up 100,000. Okay. This company, on the other hand, he decides they are not going to focus on growth. They're not going to do anything more. They're not going to do any more work. They're not going to take on any more clients, or they're going to replace the clients they have. But they're going to focus on profitability, right? Instead of doing 10%, they're going to go up to 15%, right? And instead of 20,000, 200,000 times 15%, they profit the same amount. This right here, I'm telling you guys, you have to know your numbers. If you're going to focus on growth, and I'm not saying, and I told you this at the beginning, I'm not saying you shouldn't grow, right? We're growing, especially this next year. But we know our numbers. We know what's profitable, what's not profitable. We are dense. We aren't going outside of our area. We know exactly how much to charge. Our systems and processes are almost where we want them. We're almost there. We're not always there. There are always going to be inefficiencies, but we're almost there. And this is a perfect example of doing less money, right? That's going to bother me. We're doing less money. This company's doing less money, but profiting the same amount. And yes, these are simple numbers, and these aren't exactly right. A lot of things come into play. But this is just giving you an example of doing less work and focusing on two different things. I'm not saying, and like I said, focusing on growth is good, and we focus on both. But you got to focus on, you got to pick one. And I believe when you're young, when you are 2-3 years in a business and you don't know your numbers, focus on this part instead of the gross. The next thing I want to talk to you guys about is stick around before you like, comment, and share. The next thing I want to talk to you guys about is how to do this, how to become more profitable, how to grow, and I'll show you. I'm going to raise this board. And we're going to get going. Let's do it. Okay, so we already talked about profitability, and sometimes you want to focus on making sure your margins are right instead of growing. Because if you grow and your margins are bad, you're still not going to be good. You're still not going to have processes in place or systems in place. Profitability, we already talked about that. This is an example of how to. Now, before we get started, you guys can see the board, but before we get started, I want you to understand, we don't raise prices just to every year 1%, 2%. We don't personally do that. Maybe you should, I don't know, but we don't, okay? What we do is we look at every single property, right? We look at every single property and we make sure we're getting the right amount of money for that property, right? If we're charging $70 a man hour, we want to make sure that we're getting the right amount of money for that. If it's taking us longer and we're not getting it, that's when we raise prices. Okay, now 2 examples. I should have put on here, company one, because this is going to be the same company. We're just going to do an example. Okay, company one. This is in 2020. They did 100 yards and they charged $35 a yard. So that's $3,500 per week that they're mowing. Okay, and they're profiting $875. So that profit on each yard, they're making into $875, 25%, which is a very good percentage after you pay for, gas, for equipment, repairs, all that stuff, taxes, everything. You're profiting on each yard $875. Okay, so $875 times 100 yards, you're profiting after everything $875. Not bad. Okay, that's 25%. Is pretty good. Now, the next year they decide we're going to raise prices. Okay, raising prices though, before we go to this guy, is to raise prices, you have to make sure that you're answering the phone on time, that you communicate with your customers via email, that you do a good job, that you smile, that you are a good company, right? If you don't rate, if you are a terrible company, they're always complaining, and you try to raise their prices, they're gonna quit, okay? But maybe that takes a year for you to raise prices. Maybe this year, your goal is we're gonna raise prices the following year, but we are going to make our company so good that they are willing to pay more. Okay, that's my 2 cents about raising prices. You have to be a good company for them to be happy with raising prices. Now, this company the next year, 2020, right? In 2020, they were at 100, but they decided to raise prices. Instead of being at 35, the same yards, they're going to raise it $5, which is a decent amount if you think about it. Decent amount. But at the same time, if you mow them 40 times $5, it's only $200 for the whole year. $200. If you're a good company, they're more than willing to pay. But for the example, let's imagine that you raise the prices on 100 properties and 25 of them quit. A fourth of them quit, which is a ton. I believe with all my heart, if you do a good job, 25% of them are not going to quit because of that, okay? But let's just imagine, so 25 of them quit, times $40 a yard, your gross is $3,000, right? $3,000, and the profit is $1,375. Well, how do you get that, okay? Well, $875, $875, but you raise the prices, that other $5 is pure profit. Because it doesn't take you any longer, right? You're mowing the same yards. You don't have to pay more gas. It's the same amount of equipment. Everything's the same. You don't have to pay more guys longer. It's the same amount of equipment. So that $5 is pure profit. So $1,375, $875 plus 5, $1,375, $1,375 times 75 is $1,031.25. This year they did 100. This year they did 3/4 as much, right? 4/4 of a lot. They did less work, less responsibility, less headache, less phones to answer, and they got $1,000, $31.25 instead of $875, which is about $200 more, right? About close to maybe $150 more profit, and they did less work. That's why I believe with all my heart. That's one example of becoming more profitable. Now, last thing, before you like, comment, and share, okay? Before you do that, this does not work if you aren't a good company. I'm telling you, I'll reiterate it before I end this video. You have to be a good company. You have to answer the phones. You have to answer emails. You have to smile when you're out working. You have to, when the customer comes out and they want to talk for 5 minutes, you need to talk for 5 minutes. Can you do that on every yard? No. But there's going to be people who want to talk, who think that a 25-year-old guy who has muscles, an old lady, wants to talk to you for 5 minutes. So talk to her for 5 minutes because she's going to tell everybody, okay? You have to be a good company for this to work. If you're a bad company, don't raise your prices because you're probably going to lose 50% of them. Okay, but you got to raise prices. You have to make sure you are valued at the right amount for what you do. Hey, follow me on TikTok, Follow me on YouTube. I appreciate you guys. I love helping you guys. Hopefully this helps. Comment in the comment section if this helps. Thank you. Have a nice day. 2021 is going to be epic. 2020 was epic for me. I hope it was epic for you. It's going to be better. Let's double together.